200, y'all. Welcome to the 200th episode of Hustle and Pro. I'm your host, Kelly Walker, and for this milestone episode, we have a very, very special guest. It's Frisco's top cop, Chief David Shilson. Enjoy this episode. Chief Shilson, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
All right, we can tell by looking at you that we're rolling around the end of 2024 here. So tell us what your year looked like professionally and personally and sports-wise.
So first of all, it's a holiday season, so this isn't my typical uniform. So hopefully forgive me for that. But now 2024 has been a very busy year for us, as it is for most every department in the city of Frisco. But here at the police department, we've focused a lot of our efforts and attention on growing with the city and hiring police officers and staff to support our police officers is not an easy thing because we can't just hire anybody. We have to make sure that we're hiring really qualified people, and we want to be very selective in who we choose for these positions. But we've hired close to 60 people this year, which is really an incredible feat that I have to give all the credit to our folks in our personnel unit. They are constantly working, doing police tests just about every month. And so their efforts are certainly paying off, and we hope paying off long term here. As far as the sports year for me, it's been an up and down sports year for me. I'm a big A&M fan because, of course, I graduated from Texas A&M, and A&M really started their football season overperforming. I didn't really have much of expectations. Brand new coach, Coach Elko, who I think is going to be a great long-term fit for us. But they played very well at the beginning of the season to the point where after we beat LSU, everybody's thinking, wow, we've got a chance to go to the SEC championship game, right? And so, of course, we didn't finish the season very strong, and it's painful for us to lose to Texas in the first year back of that game. But I had a chance to be at that game. My son, who's a student down there, he's a freshman this year, was able to get me a guest ticket, so I stood with the 12th man and got to experience that environment, which was absolutely crazy.
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Yes, that's definitely going to be one of those things that I remember for the rest of my life. But I wish the game had turned out better, but it was still an amazing experience, and I'm so glad that two schools are playing again.
Yeah, when you think back to your time as a student there, did you have those big, or was the football culture like it is now when you go back and get to experience it as a parent of an Aggie? Yeah,
so it's definitely gotten bigger. The following for A&M football has grown dramatically. The stadium, of course, is much larger. I think the capacity of the stadium back when I was a student there was maybe 80,000.
That's still pretty big for...
Yes.
Not that it was a long time ago.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Now the capacity, the announced attendance at the Texas game this year was 109,000.
109. I was going to say, they hit 100, right?
Yeah, which is crazy.
That's bigger than a lot of NFL stadiums.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy.
Kyle Field is just something else.
Yes. And, when I was a student there, we played some pretty big games. I mean, I remember 1998, we won the Big 12 conference championship in an overtime game against Kansas State. I remember that game very well because we weren't supposed to win that game. We came back and won it in the fourth quarter, tied it in the fourth quarter, won it in overtime, and then we ended up going and playing in the Sugar Bowl against Ohio State, which I was at that game as well.
Goodness.
And we got killed by Ohio State, unfortunately.
What other sports besides football are you watching and then playing? I know you do some basketballing a little. So what are you playing and watching?
Yeah, so watching, I've been an avid Astros fan because I grew up in Houston. I know I get a lot of, negative reactions around here when I say I'm an Astros fan, but I'm a diehard Astros fan. The Astros, they went to the playoffs this past year. got knocked out by the Tigers, which nobody was expecting.
Right.
But, you know, I'm always kind of a fan of the underdog, too, and the Tigers were kind of an underdog team.
Detroit's having a year.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, hated that they lost, but yeah, I'm an Astros fan. The team's kind of in flux right now. We're waiting to see if they re-sign Bregman. You know, they've got an offer out there, but I don't think ultimately it's going to be enough. So we'll see what happens. But so big Astros fan. As far as what I'm playing, yeah, I mean, if I'm playing a sport, it's probably going to be basketball. My son, you know, he's got a group of friends, and we'll sometimes organize a pickup game and enjoy, you know, playing basketball. He had a group of his friends from, you know, some from Reedy, some from other schools, that they kind of put together a AAU team, and we had a lot of fun with that. We played in a few tournaments, won one of the tournaments. We're not supposed to win one of the tournaments, but we ended up. That team awesome. Has been so fun. I mean, that's probably been one of the funnest things that I've ever done sports-wise, was coach that team, because, you know, most of them were, or probably half the team was varsity basketball players from Reedy, and so there wasn't any coaching going on. I was just controlling the substitutions more than anything. You were just the adult
in the room, right?
Yes.
Well, that was my next question. Was I know you've done some coaching. What's your track record as a coach? And then, like, do they respect your authority appropriately with your job title?
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, I've head coached my son's teams and my daughter's teams, and you know what I've learned through all of that is, yeah, the dynamic of me being police chief definitely is kind of, you know, sometimes they don't even think about it, and sometimes it's like, you know, wow, like the police chief is our coach, right? And so it's a unique dynamic. But, you know, my son, he played soccer, baseball, basketball growing up. I helped coach his baseball teams.
Oh, okay.
Really, and I coached his basketball team, I think, one season. Had a lot of fun doing that. My daughter has played softball, basketball. She actually played flag football one year, but I've been involved in coaching her softball team, and, you know, kind of had to back off and be more of an assistant coach since becoming chief. But yeah, it's one of those things. The sacrifice of the job is, I've kind of had to step back since I've been chief, because I don't want to be the coach that can't make a practice or can't make a game, right, and us have to forfeit. So I'm offering to, you know, I always offer to help out whenever I can, and, you know, we have some great folks that are leading that team, and but I help out whenever I can.
Being the head coach it's a big commitment.
It is.
And like, you sound like you're like we are when we were head coaching. If we can't do it fully and be at everything and really think about, you know, the lineups and the this and the that and the playing time, all that, like, let someone else who might have the time jump in there and take over with the energy they can.
Absolutely.
Or they can give. We can't. You know?
Yeah. And my daughter is now getting to the age where, like, I can't coach her anymore. Like, she doesn't want to listen to me. Yes.
All right. Shifting gears a little bit. Coming back to what you mentioned up at the top about hiring and growth, but Frisco sports. So I want to know if being a leader in the Sports City USA is the way you drew up your career game plan.
It is not. I've always been an avid sports fan, and, you know, the sports teams here in Frisco and the sports presence here in Frisco, as it's grown, has really just been an incredible bonus to me being here, right? Because, you know, I grew up certainly following, you know, the NFL, NBA. You know, wasn't really tuned in. I was a soccer player growing up, but I never really was tuned in with Major League Soccer.
No one was.
Yeah, it's certainly grown in popularity.
Yep.
You know,
we're a big part of that.
Yes, I mean
this market is a big part of that.
Yes, yeah. And so really just, you know, having the sports presence here has been just an incredible bonus. I remember working deep nights here as a patrol officer when the Rough Riders ballpark was being built, and I remember, like, let me go check this out, and I would walk the construction site that is now the Rough Riders ballpark, and I remember thinking, this is kind of cool that there's a AA baseball team going in here. And then seeing the same thing happen with Toyota Stadium, where FC Dallas plays, and seeing that facility. And I remember the first time I walked in there, after it was nearing completion and seeing all those seats, I thought, oh, this is a game changer.
It's a big one, yeah.
Yep. And then I was actually the kind of the project lead from the public safety side for the police side related to the STAR project.
Okay.
And I just remember one of the first meetings for that project as it was kicking off. I'm in there, and then Chief Renshaw at the time was in there. And in walks Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and George Purifoy, and I'm like looking at myself like, what am I doing here, right? And so I was a lieutenant at the time, and that was just really kind of a surreal, like this place is something special.
Big time. Yeah, it's happening. And I guess though it all worked out. You were in there for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. That was a really
you didn't know at the time.
A really neat project to work on, and seeing what the STAR is now, and then
it's an incredible piece of our city.
Yes.
Whether you are a Dallas Cowboys fan or not, it is an incredible piece of our city.
I remember the day the STAR opened, when they had I think it was 4 high school football games, maybe 5 high school football games that they played. I remember having an interaction with Jerry Jones that day. And he was very emotional about, what this facility meant to our local athletes, our high school kids. And, he was just very proud to see, what this was going to be, And kind of full circle moment, I had a follow-up conversation with Jerry Jones right after my son's junior year of high school, and he played football at Reedy, and I remember telling him, like, it was extremely special to see this open and then see my son benefit from it and have an opportunity to play in the STAR. So
it is so unique.
Yes,
and special.
It's I think our kids are spoiled. They have no idea how lucky they are to.
You're right. They don't. They don't. Okay, so I know that activity presents plenty of challenges for the police department, just because there's the influx of people and activity and all that good stuff. But what about on the positive side? I'd wonder, does it help in recruiting? And you talk about hiring. I mean, is it a cool thing to get to tell people, come to Frisco, like, these are some of the things that we support?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're utilizing that messaging in our recruiting efforts, because it is a challenge, but it's a unique challenge within law enforcement. There's not very many agencies that get the opportunity to work sporting events like we get to work sporting events. And it does require a commitment from our people, but they're certainly willing to take that on, and they appreciate the opportunities to work in these unique environments, whether it's a Cowboys training camp, because they're down there on the field, working security for Cowboys training camp, or we have a number of people that they played collegiate baseball, so getting an opportunity to work at Rough Rider Stadium, is kind of a treat for them,
I love that stadium, and I love baseball, so I feel like I live there. Like on Frisco College Baseball Classic weekends, the doubleheaders.
Yes.
By the way, some epic A&M games in the past.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm like, I just live here for half the, basically the whole day for 3 days in a row, because I love it so much.
And I hear from our people that, having Rough Riders, perfect example, they can take their family to a Rough Riders game for cheaper than it's to go see a movie, right? And so to have that there, I hear that quite a bit from people that are just starting here and people that have been here. Like, they appreciate the ability to go and watch one of these sporting events and be a part of this department and working at those different venues. It's something that most agencies do not have that ability to do.
Right. That's great. I was hoping you'd say that,
yes.
but I didn't know.
Yep.
Like, I didn't know if it's just a thorn or if it's actually, there's some benefit, which is awesome. That's why I love, my life and my job here as well. All right, last thing. What's on your bucket list of a sporting event you haven't attended that you do want to get to?
Well, I guess I would say, like, a close second to the A&M Texas game was my son and I actually went to the divisional championship series between the Astros and Rangers over in Arlington. It was game 3, which we won. And we were wearing our Astros attire in, Arlington, which, was kind of risky, but
enemy territory. For
sure. We eventually ended up losing that series, of course, but the Astros did win the game that we went to.
I forgot who went on to win the World Series that year.
Yeah, the Rangers did. Yeah, that was painful to watch. But I don't root against the Rangers. I only root against the Rangers when they're playing the Astros.
Fair.
So I used to prefer when the Astros were in the National League and the Rangers were in the American League. I could root for both teams, and then in the World Series,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's a close second. I don't know. I think one of the things on my radar that I might have an opportunity to do in the coming year is A&M plays at Notre Dame next season as early in the season, and we actually got some family that live up that way, and so
that'd be cool.
We might take an opportunity to go catch a game at Notre Dame and root for A&M, and hopefully it works out better than the Texas game for us.
Very cool. It's all very A&M and Astros specific. I thought you were going to say World Cup, because now hearing you say you are a soccer, youth soccer fan, which World Cup's on my list.
Yes.
I go to a lot of soccer games, but that's a big one. I can't wait. Hopefully I'll get the opportunity to be in the building during a World Cup game.
Yeah, well, and the World Cup coming is certainly a big challenge for us, and we've begun the preparations for that already. We've been doing stuff for several months, and so it's definitely going to be very unique. And people, I don't think that aren't soccer fans don't recognize the World Cup is like the equivalent of 10 Super Bowls. I mean, it is that big of a deal, and there's going to be so many people here in our region taking part in watching matches here, and it's a big deal for Frisco to be a base camp, and it's going to be a base camp for, a big team more than likely. So we're excited about that.
Can't wait, yeah.
And PGA Championship, that's another bucket list thing that we've got coming to Frisco, and that's going to be a tremendous event for Frisco when it comes.
27?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's another big one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've quickly, just kind of like I quickly jumped into being an F1 fan when I was there on site. Definitely quickly become more of a golf fan, being at these golf events and being at PGA Frisco so much. Yeah, we're so lucky that we have all this.
Yes,
definitely.
We are definitely blessed here in Frisco.
Well, cool. Well, this is my 200th episode.
Ooh.
So for my 100th episode, I had Mayor Cheney on. And in between there, I have mostly athletes, mostly pro athletes in the market, or former pros, or standout high school athletes, but sometimes coaches and fans or front office guys, whatever it is. And so for 200, I was like, I need some other special Frisco guy. And so I'm excited that you said yes, because I don't know the extent of all your sports, life. So I'm happy to learn about it and, get to share that with people. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you putting up with my Santa sweatshirt today.
It's festive. I love it.
Yes, it's the holidays, and everybody's getting ready for the holidays. So I had to be festive.
Play the part. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's all we've got for you today on this 200th episode of Hustle and Pro. Whether this is your first time listening or you've been listening for all 5 years, I appreciate you, and I hope that you will subscribe on YouTube so that you can get alerts for the next episode. Follow me on Instagram, Hustle and Pro, and we'll see you next time.